Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Perspectives. We are your hosts. My name is Littyyy Bro Flacko. Here is Holden Stephan Roy. Say hi, Holden.
Hi, Holden.
There he goes. And uh, today we have our guest, illustrious New Jersey indie scene veteran, EO Dub alumni, um, merch extraordinaire, uh, independent, independent connoisseur of the independent connoisseur of the independent arts. Now I'm just dragging it. He'll answer, ladies and gentlemen. He'll answer.
What up?
What up? What up?
Now I'm dragging it.
What's up, guys?
I was trying to find a way to like talk to plug the fact that you're uh like fucking one stop shop, like essentially indie fucking, you know what I mean? But we'll get
Yeah,
into that in the interview.
yeah.
We don't have to necessarily put all the titles of everything at the beginning.
I I like
I
to
think
use
it's
the
most
word
important that
like
they know that you're
mogul
from
at
Jersey
that point.
and EOW alumni. Mogul, that was the word that I was looking for. Um, no answer. Welcome. Here's what we do.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
do a lot of tangent shit. You know what I mean? So the way we usually start out the show, as you very well know, probably, right, is by giving our origin story over here before we ask you for your origin story. Because that's the way it works, right? We're like, we'll show you ours if you show us yours. You know what I mean? Hey, yo, pause to all of that. You know what I mean? But no pause. More of that. You know what I'm saying? Um, so, what happened was me and Jesse were working on Littyyy Bros Volume 1, correct? And
Right.
we were going to mix down, and I told Jesse he has to relax. He's not going to engineer mix down the project. I was going to get an outside source to do that, and I did. And I got Merker Miyagi from Montreal, Canada, to mix down the project because the man is fucking amazing and does a great job at what he does. And so Merker is like, might as well be like a New Yorker, right? Because like he's a man who like is smart enough to know to not share the music of the people he works with because you'll probably take a check from a guy who's like music you don't like. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day. So it's like, yo, I'm not gonna be sharing that shit because then you share one person's, you gotta share them all, you know? So, but he ended up sharing our shit out the goodness of his heart because I didn't ask him to do it, right? And Holden was like, "What?" Holden likes to say that he shared it with like a very alluring caption, right?
It
It was
was
like very like if I were to be in New York City, I want to party with the Littyyy Bros or something like that. And Holden was like, well, that sounds like a very provocative title to put your status up with. And he clicked play. And when he clicked play, he was like, this is not half bad. At least that's the way I like to make it sound. Right. And he was like, this is not half bad. And then he was like, yo, you know what? He made an album review on the album. And I was like, what? You did an album review without me even fucking hitting you up for that? That's cool. And I was like, yo, we should do an interview. And he was like, I was going to ask you that next. I was like, shh, beat you to it, buddy. And then we did an interview, and bro, I felt like I went to fucking therapy. Let me tell you something. I was like, why have I been doing rap for this long? And all the interviews are like, when did you first fall in love with hip hop? Like, bro, stop watching Brown Sugar. You know what I mean? But so anyway, Holden was not like that. And so I was like, yo, we should start doing a series together where I bring the homies to the table and you interview them. And here we the fuck are.
yeah,
Um,
episode
yeah,
54.
episode 54, my guy. You're
Episode
even number.
54.
You're even
Wow.
number. I like that. That's good for my brain. I hate odd numbers. Like if it would have been episode 53, I'd have probably forgotten you. But now you're episode 54 and I'm gonna remember you. Um, right.
Shout out to
So
all of the odd numbered guests. We still remember you.
facts. Shouts to all the odd number guests. I was just talking shit. So, with that in mind, right? Holden loves to open up with his questions, but I always cut him off. And I ask the first question, which is very important. Tell the people who you are, what you're known by, where you're from, and don't forget to tell them where your parents are from.
Do I go in right now?
Yeah, motherfucker, I was asking you a question.
I know you guys are good for the long intros, and you guys got a whole build up, so I like to wait until I know it's time. Anyway, well, I am ill answer, and I wanted to say this for a long time now. My real name is actually Stephan, so I always want to bring that out to the table. My real name is Stephan, so people know me as Stephan, and of course Holden, of course. that's a connection there.
Both you guys always make me think of Urkel when he's Stefan and shit. You know what I mean? That's what I always think of when I hear Stephan.
When you were younger, that's all that kids would say. Especially at my age, I was actually during that time period where that was relevant. So basically, everybody had the Stefan Urkel jokes. So it is what it is. But yeah, so I was originally born in Brooklyn, New York, Kings County Hospital. And I spent like my first basic 5 years in Queens, Jamaica, Queens. And then I moved on to North Carolina, Goldsboro, North Carolina, where I spent another 5-6 years. And then off to New Jersey when I was about 10, 11 years old. I was a New Jersey native, and I've been there ever since. My parents, on the other hand, they're both from Brooklyn, right? However, both of them were born in Alabama. So I always thought that was interesting. They my background is both my parents are from pretty much towns within 50 miles from each other in Alabama, and it's interesting meetup. Everybody migrates from Alabama up north. Why not?
It's facts though. It's a whole
big
bunch.
Facts.
So what else? Where are we going?
They were
next?
smart. They were smart people. Get the fuck about the South. No shade to any of the people who are watching this from the South. We love the South, but also it's the South.
No shade.
Yeah. So I think you answered all of it except your
he answered
aliases. I think you said your name, but not your other aliases.
Well, it's all over the screen too, but I'm ill answer. People know me as Ill mostly. I used to be known as this is a throwback. When I first started, I was known as MC Moneybags, which I haven't said probably in 20 years. But that was my original rap name, and I started as a parody rapper.
We're gonna get into all of that, but yeah, I guess that we can get into the proper story question thing. So all of that starts with my girlfriend one time. She'd be washing the dishes, listening to that Black Eyed Peas song on her phone, that I got a feeling, ooh. And she's vibing, she's dancing, she's doing her thing. And I look at her and I have this thought, when in the fuck did this song become chores music? Because, you run that song back a decade or whatever, and in the middle of the night, it's it's club banger, everybody's dancing, having the time of their life. It's celebration music. And then you run it again into the future. Now all of a sudden it's a song we put on when we're doing some boring stuff like working out or chores, and we want to go back to the celebratory times of life. And it got me thinking just about the evolution of artists and how as we grow older in life, the relationship and context we have with these songs that don't even change at all because they're songs, it just evolves so much that we just treat music differently. And then it got me thinking about the journeys of artists and how...
Scratchy, buddy.
Am I? All right, let me just fix that right quick. So yeah, it just got me
professional.
Thinking about the whole journey of an artist, right? And how while most people start their artist journey in their minds at this adolescent era when they first start getting into music or when they first fall in love with hip hop or they first start writing or something, but that's not really the beginning of any of our stories because it is such a journey that just kind of builds on it. So it got me thinking when you came out the hospital in Brooklyn, there was probably some music playing in the room that was getting absorbed by a little baby ill answer back in the day. Or I guess a little baby MC Moneybags would be more appropriate because that was closer to it. And so, like, you might not remember that, but as time went on, you were just around all kinds of music growing up. Like, I can remember being, like, 5 in the apartment in Montreal, and, you know, my dad had the gray boxes all over, the preamp and the amp and the radios and the tape deck with the wires going around for the bootleg surround sound that we had at home as he'd bust his Led Zeppelin tapes and the Guns N' Roses and things like that in the daytime. But at nighttime, it was all these stuff live from the clubs of Montreal, straight club mixes and stuff. And that would just be like a completely different vibe. Then my mom's, it was more like musicals and discos and Disney songs and this whole other side of life. And all of this created this mix in my childhood that, like, you know, really impacts even what I listen to this very day. So it got me thinking, Mr. Ill Answer, what it sounded, sorry, a lot of that happened without me having any control of the sound. So it got me thinking, I'll answer, maybe just fucking asking my director. I fucking failed that delivery.
Yeah. if you were battle rapping right now, the crowd would be like, "Hey, yo,
done.
Get his shit together."
Usually doesn't happen like that. So if you could bring us back to when you were young, Ill Answer, and let us know a little bit, like, it's kind of what it sounded like to be you before you had any control over the sounds in your life. And just keep in mind that most of us aren't necessarily coming from Queens and other such places, so we don't really know the vibes as naturally as you might. So feel free to just describe, you know, like the vibes around you.
Oh man, well, I don't remember a ton from back then, but I will say my mother was a singer. She was a model slash singer. She went to business school. She did a ton of different things. So my first influence was probably my mother. She used to take me to the recording studio, and I used to be in there making goofy noises, and the engineer would be like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, that sound was so cool. Do that sound again. Go in the booth. We're gonna record that." And you know, back in the '80s. Recording was a whole different thing. You know, it was like all tape, basically analog, and it was a whole long process that I got to be engrossed in at a very early age, and without even thinking about it, you know, I took on kind of, I guess, the bug of music. You know, so my mother's side of the family is a long line of singers and slash entertainers, and on my dad's side is a long line of artists, like traditional artists and things like that. So
Like drawing and stuff?
Traditional, yeah, I was gonna say like
yeah,
art,
like
like
drawing.
painting.
Yeah, my uncle, he used to do all those like airbrush paintings and stuff back in the day, and also like murals and things like that using airbrushing. And my grandfather actually is a children's book author. Well, author in general. He didn't just do children's books, but he also illustrated and authored several books out there. And he basically taught like my family the art thing. So I have this, like, you know, background in a whole bunch of stuff that kind of has me today.
You got a background
Now,
in
but
art.
uh,
I
yeah,
beyond that,
I've been groomed since I was.
did you say that in the 80s the engineer in the studio was using you for samples? Not like you just became the samples, like you just make noises and that got used.
Yes.
So there's technically like you embedded into all these songs or whatever that could just be out and about, and like people wildly be bumping to some shit, and it's like a little baby Ill Answer that got put into a thing that got moved over there.
Absolutely.
I mean, everything else you said was also cool, but damn, that's like, I've never heard that one time in my life. And in the 80s, like that's like way back in the day times.
Right, Danny, our program manager, our program director, is bringing us back on pace, and she's reminding us that you still have not mentioned what it was sounding like. What was the sounds? What was the music of the time at that time? What was playing
Oh,
in the car? What was
well,
playing in
I'll tell
the
you this. At that time, also, which I was going to continue on, but my uncle was basically living with my grandmother and my mother, and you know, off and on at the time or whatever, and he basically would play nothing but hip hop, you know, like early hip hop, you know, 80s stuff, and I used to hear it only from him, and he used to be a really big influence in my life. Besides my father, he was pretty much the guy around, So he was doing all this cool stuff. He was in high school, and I remember I used to have to want to wear like a gold rope chain like LL Cool J because my uncle showed me that, and he used to take me to the Coliseum with him to get a slice of pizza and to take a picture in front of there's basically like these tapestries set up back in the day. I don't know, and basically it would be like a crazy airbrush painting of like New York City skyscrapers or like
I remember
the
them.
Batmobile. I know you remember those.
I don't remember them.
And you would basically do your poses.
Yeah, no,
You do your
you
jail
keep on.
poses
That's
in
why I'm
front of
not stopping
those.
him from. That's why I'm not stopping him from describing it. Like he's
Nah,
doing
it
a
sounds
great
really
job.
cool.
He's explaining the Nami.
Yeah.
Before there was no Nami, first of all, and he's
just like went right to it, like a
theoretical, the theoretical Nami. You know what I mean? So keep on explaining Nami.
So basically, it's like going to the mall in today's age, where you go and you go to the actual photo place. Back in the day, you would go and it would be tapestry background set up, and with all kind of like current hip things, quote unquote. And at that time, I remember distinctly taking a picture in front of the Batmobile and the New York City skyscrapers in the background, and me and my uncle standing there posing with Kango bucket hats on, and fake gold ropes on. And
oh shit, you
like
guys were really y'all were on it. Your uncle had you looking like a young rapper out
we
here,
was in
huh?
there.
Mm-hmm.
We was in there. I used to.
If you had
Kango,
if you had the Kango bucket and chain, that's it. You were an 80s rapper essentially. You know what I'm saying? Like you was living the life.
Listen, my uncle would have the boombox on his shoulder, take me to the park, all that. So it was definitely lit.
Yeah, do you remember any of the songs that like were like prominent back then?
You know what's funny? The first song I think about was a funny song. It was "Doing the Butt." I don't even remember who even sung that song. Like "Doing the Butt," sexy, sexy. I remember my uncle. I'm snitching now, but my uncle had snuck a girl in the house. My grandmother was at home, and I was in the room with them, and they were like chilling, and he had that song playing with his arm around her, and I used to be like, "Oh, I want to be just like my uncle one day."
Yeah, I think it's nifty how much
so that's the one that I remember.
Like it's nifty how visual your memory is with it. Like sometimes people go to different places with it, but it's like, were you drawing back then? Like was that like a part of your childhood as well?
I'm gonna say yes. Do I remember drawing necessarily? Not really, but with my grandfather, he pretty much made sure everybody could draw. he used to basically sit you down and say, "This is how you sketch," and he would just like sketch some craziness, and then get you kind of like in that thought process. And I keep I'm gonna bring my grandfather up a lot because he was like a very powerful influence on me through my whole life, as I come to realize as we're talking actually. But he would actually promote you being a part of the world and seeing things in the way you see them and actually putting it down, like capturing it. So he would take you on walks of Brooklyn, basically, because that's where my grandfather lived at that time. He lived in Brooklyn, and it was Brownsville, Brooklyn to be specific. And he would love taking us to the park and down Pickett Avenue, and we used to get like ices and snow cones. I think they were, and the big slice of pizza from that little side window from the pizza shop. And that was like one of the things that I lived for. And he would definitely walk me around with that, and I appreciated life definitely back then. And actually, one of the memories I have is when I was really little like that. He got commissioned to do a mural on the side of Brownsville Post Office, and the mural was basically depicting, people of color and education format. So like someone in a cap and gown, a young kid, reading a book, things like that. And my my grandfather was the kind of person where like you're gonna come, you're gonna help, you're gonna do this. So I was maybe like 8 years old, and I painted a part of that mural, and I was always so proud of that. Like, you know, it's like, wow, I painted a mural, you know, on the side of a post
Dope.
office in Brownsville.
No, that is
So
super ill.
that was one of my claims.
That's a crazy experience still. So they're like, how old when that happened?
I was probably, I'd say about 6 or 7. I was young. I was real little, and my grandfather told me the story not too long ago to remind me. You know, he's in his 90s now, but he was like, "Yeah, you were painting with me, and I stepped back to look at it, and a guy walks over." And he sees you with the paintbrush, and his mouth dropped about 10 feet to the floor. And he goes, "Oh my God, you did this?"
I thought you did the whole thing all by yourself and shit.
He thought I did.
Which like would have been child labor, by the way. Like, and your uncle would have been not such a good look for that. You know, not for nothing, ill, bro, missed opportunity, man. You should have had like pictures of ices and snow cones in that little rotating gallery that you got there. What the fuck, bro? Like, you were supposed to have all of this already pre-thought and known you were gonna say these things so you could be that. Because Holden almost had a face like he didn't know what the fuck an icy was, bro.
Yeah, because like I mean,
you know what I mean?
when you
Like,
said icy,
he knows what a snow cone
I know what a snow cone is,
but
and I'm sure I know some French version of it.
This guy doesn't know what a fucking icy is.
Know what that was.
I want to reach through the motherfucking thing and punch you, and then punch myself for not getting you an icy when you were here in New York. You know what I mean?
I mean, it was November.
I want to
though,
punch
right?
you.
Like, let's be real.
Just not even
like
knowing,
nobody was
you know
thinking
what I mean?
about ice cream treats in November in the cold.
No, I know, but still, I didn't know that you didn't know what an icy was.
Well, I mean, I know what a snow cone is. I don't know if they're different.
Nah, I know it's totally different. Completely different. Whole nother world. That's why you don't even know what a
like
that means you don't. That means that you don't even know what a coquito is, which means that I basically failed for the last 2 years. This is all losses. Like, now I'm wildly upset. I'm upset at myself. I don't even know what the fuck I've been doing all this time. I'm disgusted, yo. Oh my God.
You gotta do the PR parade, PR parade, and get a coquito.
You gotta come back in June
or a nutcracker.
We're definitely gonna figure out coming back.
We gotta invite. Like, we gotta figure out like getting everybody that's in the chat right now at the same time in New York City, so I could take you guys all around, all of y'all at the same time, and have to deal with everybody's like different proclivities and shit. One person's gonna be like, I'm lactose intolerant.
I'm gonna be like, I don't like fish.
Yeah, Holden was like that he didn't like seafood. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It's facts.
What? But then fucking Olivier doesn't like seafood and doesn't want cheese. I was like, oh,
how the hell do you not want cheese?
What the fuck? What, my guy?
But yeah,
so
like
no pizza, no seafood. But I still made it crack, right? Because what do? Take them to the Gucci Fritos so you can have Spanish food. There's no cheese involved, no seafood involved. It's just gonna be, good old Spanish food and shit. All right, listen, we went way off track here. This is ridiculous.
Flacco's hungry.
I'm mostly upset at myself because Holden doesn't know what the fucking icy is. You know what I mean? This is all bad. Ew, can you help us out here? Can you look up an icy and put it in your little reel that you got going there? By the way, this fucking reel has me so jealous right now. I'm upset at this reel. My guy showed up on the show with the ill setup for himself already, yo. I don't even know what the fuck. Like, what are we doing on this show? Like, Jesus Christ, this guy.
I mean,
stunting on us.
Stunting for real.
He showed up
it wasn't an intentional flex. It just happened.
Nah, but it fits into the way you're branded as this merchandising specialist, designer, entrepreneur guy coming through with the virtual style that looks like you know exactly how to make that stuff yourself, whereas I gotta pay you to make it for me.
Exactly.
But yeah, so okay, so you're like a little one, you're surrounded by all this music, you're kind of being forced into a situation. When I say forced, I mean you're surrounded by music and drawing, so you're being forced to learn foundational elements of all these different things. You're a sample, all this stuff happens around you. Are you like interested at that point in pursuing the arts, or are you like interested in other stuff as a little one?
I was honestly the only thing I could say. I remember I won a couple art contests as a kid, about first second grade. I was drawing like typical cartoon stuff that you see on TV and things like that. And one in particular I remember, I drew Mickey Mouse, and it was like like you hire something, you get that like moment where you just like so focused and this is about to be crazy. I had one of those moments when I was younger. I remember I was like, my lines were perfect. I drew this Mickey Mouse ears unlike none other. I had the perfect perspective. You know, quote, perfect
Hey,
perspective, basically.
drop it in the
And
chat,
I'm
drop it
looking
in the
for it.
chat,
I'm not
everyone.
used
Drop
to
it
it
in
yet.
the
next thing you
chat.
know,
Uh,
next thing you know, number one, and they're announcing me on the loudspeaker. The principal's like, and then Stephan has the best art project, blah blah blah. So that was one of my notable moments. And yeah, that's pretty much that.
yeah, I could tell that you were super proud of
To be
them
honest with you,
round ears. You were like, you
I
got
was back
perfect
then.
circles on you got perfect circles on those ears because you made sure to make note that the circles on the ear were perfect. So that means that's what it
Perfect.
was. You know what I mean? Which is factual. That was what made it a perfect drawing back then. Was like, did you get the ear straight, or was there one squiggly little line
Man, you can't
outside
you
of it?
can't
You know
mess
what I
up
mean?
Mickey, you
You
can't
can't
mess up
fuck
Mickey
up.
Mouse,
You're
man.
not gonna get a job at Disney fucking up fucking Mickey Mouse's ears, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no.
So you so you were
So you basically,
drawing.
yeah, you got that, and then at what point do you get like more interested, let's say, in like pursuing music or getting your own musical identity with it, where it stops being like yourself and then is more like, yo, this my jam. Like, do you remember that moment?
um, Probably I want to say in about I gotta say like early '90s. Like early '90s is when like Crisscross, the Kid and Plays, and like all the like those things started happening for me where I started paying attention, and I was kind of I was a weird kid. I'll say it. I was a little more mature than I should have been. I always had like a almost like a business sense about everything, the way I thought about it. For instance, when I was 8 years old, I sat in my room and I said, "I'm too old for toys." And I literally looked at my toys and I said, I don't want to play with toys anymore. So I gathered all my good toys. I
How old were
separated
you?
up in the like
8.
sections. I was
How
8 years
eight?
old.
Jesus Christ, my guy was ahead of
I
his time.
separated my toys up, and as I separated them out, I valued them, right? And I sold them. I had
My
like
guy said I
every Ninja Turtle
valued
you could
them.
think of.
Wow.
I sold all my Ninja Turtles. I sold whatever I could to my friends. It was, obviously it wasn't like real big money. It was like a couple of bucks that my friend had in his pocket, or something like that. And I sold it to him. And the rest I just chucked it. I got rid of all my toys, and that was when I started watching Rap City like every day, like just getting into just hip hop in general. I don't know, it just clicked one day. It was like I don't want to do that anymore. I want to get into like learning about music.
So
And ever since then, I've been pretty much like studying music.
you just made a bunch of bank off your toys, said fuck all that shit, I like rap music.
Yeah,
Guy,
literally.
this guy was on his fucking
Like, you gotta understand, that
Sean
is
Combs shit at 8 years old.
8. Like,
The fuck?
that's big. That's a lot.
I was still playing. I'll be honest. I was still playing with toys all the way up until about. I think it was. It turned from toys into comic books, and then like around like 11, I think is 11 is when like girls became the priority. You know what I mean? That's when like
Oh, 11, the girls. Yeah,
cl-
that's when I was
clothes
like,
clothes then
forget about
became
it.
became the priority because clothes is what you're gonna use to impress the girls. Yeah, at least that's what we thought
Yeah,
in New York City.
11, I started caring about my clothes so much, man. I was getting all
Yep.
those jeans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get fake Tims. You got her official joints. Everything had to be crispy.
You already know. And then if there's certain there's like I talk to people that are not from like New York, Jersey, that's circling New York area understands, right? Like there's like things where like, yo, it can't be the Timberlands, the cheap ones that's got the thick sole things with the thick. It's got to be the little division between each little thing. You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
you're getting made fun of. Like everybody at school is like, oh, this motherfucker got the fucking, and they just start getting on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yeah,
got to be
you
all
got the
official
lugs
all the
on,
way.
bro.
You know
I
what I'm
had no
saying?
lugs
Lugs,
on.
but it's like, you're like, yo, I got Timberlands. They just were on sale, but couldn't get the shit that was on sale, man. Gonna get made fun of. Gonna get made fun of.
Yeah, back in the day, you pull up in some Wranglers too, you was in trouble.
What? Fuck around. There was a certain point that I remember where you was getting laughed at just for having Levi's, and it's like, damn. But Levi's is just it became too
Yeah,
affordable, and everybody started looking down on it,
yeah.
and it was just like, can't
And
even wear
then
Levi's
then it
no
was
more.
like the fake Tommy Hilfiger jeans were like crazy. It was tons of that out there. The fake Tommy Hilfiger jeans.
Mm.
And then people started pulling up in Nike jeans, and they was like, "Nike don't make jeans. What are you doing?"
Fact. Not at that time. I mean, I don't think that they still don't make jeans. They make
Exactly.
joggers and fucking khakis, but they don't make jeans.
Yeah.
That's
They stay in
amazing.
their lane. Athletics.
I once saw a BlackBerry dress shirt in like the phone company BlackBerry. I saw a dress shirt in Pakistan that had that logo all over it. That's when I started seeing all that.
What?
Because Pakistan is where everything
That's
gets
hilarious.
made, and they don't know the real brands or not. So like it was just like a dress shirt, and it said BlackBerry with like the fucking phone logo and shit all over it. Like they were the clothing
You should have
manufacturer.
copped that. You should have copped
I
that.
know I
That would
took
have
a
been an ill
picture of
one-off
it,
piece.
but like
Mm,
it didn't fit or anything. So in my head, I was like, I want clothes that fit. It was more like this is preposterous.
that shit's fire now that you say it.
Straight
I'm
up
like,
limited
what?
edition
I'll pop
Blackberries.
out right now with a
Blackberry button up.
BlackBerry fucking button down. Like, what, son? Look at me.
uh, but so you start getting into music at like 8, 9. Are you like at that point a fan of it, or do you like I'm gonna be a rapper?
I'm no, I haven't. I hadn't had thoughts of being a rapper yet. I was definitely a fan all the way. I can. I'm gonna date myself even more. I used to get cassettes all the time. See cassette singles back then. One in particular I want to mention is Dre Day. That's cassette single. Death Row's definitely in the house, or I think it's Death Row's definitely in the motherfucking house, something like
Hell.
that. And
Mhm.
I was playing that when I was in North Carolina at the time with my grandmother, and my dad had sent me some cash to go to get some cassette tapes. And back then, we used to go down there. There's nothing to do really. You go to the skating
Nothing.
rink, you go outside
Yeah.
and play. You go to the Air Force Base and get some groceries. Yeah, there's nothing really to do down there. So, one of the big things is going to the mall, going to the record shop, and the arcade. So I used to go to both,
As a fail.
and that was it pretty much. So I was in the record store and I see Dr. Dre Day, cassette single. I copped it. I'm in the car with my grandmother playing the cassette. I knew she didn't want to hear, what was on the unedited side. You know what I'm saying? So I said, I'm gonna be slick. I'm gonna play the instrumental. So I had it on the instrumental side, and it's playing the beat. I'm bopping my head. We're driving. She's got an old Lincoln Town car with the big boat ones, right? And just
Mm-hmm.
putting you the
The
visual.
joints is
My
hard.
grandmother, she don't play. She's from Alabama originally, but she spent most of her life in New York, so she's very like with it. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
we drive down the
She
street, I'm
bout that.
bopping, and all of a sudden on the instrumental, it out of nowhere it goes, Death Row's in the motherfucking house. Yo, she damn near stopped the car, bro. She
She's
said,
like, the fuck are you
"What did they
playing in
just
my
say?
vehicle?
What did they just say?" So she took that tape from me, right? And let me tell you, That tape was in her like cabinet or whatever, Chester or whatever she kept her
She
clothes,
still
whatever
got that
was
shit
in
right
that
now.
Chester until I was an adult.
She still got it right
I had to
now.
like, open
You
that one
still
day. I was
didn't get
like,
it back.
"Oh my god,
It's still
that
there,
cassette
my
tape's
tape.
still there."
That's
Yeah, yo.
amazing. I should.
Blessings. I had the same exact story, except that mine was an OPP tape. Well, it wasn't my grandma. It was
Oh, that's a good
variations,
one too.
but it's just very like same fam. Parents is like, the fuck?
Yeah,
What you think you doing? You think you grown?
yeah. I got tons of those stories, honestly, because once I moved up north with my mom, I was about 11. So my mom, she's not into hip hop like that. She likes some. She like used to, play Queen Latifah here and there. But that's pretty much, as far as I remember her getting into hip hop like that. Um, it was a struggle. She didn't want me to listen to anything with profanity. So obviously, I love hip hop. I'm into it. So I can't even tell you how many cassette tapes and CDs. Well, I didn't have CDs yet at that time, but I had infinite amount of cassette tapes, and she would just kind of like hear things here and there and take it from me. And so it was a lot of struggles like that. Um, Actually, I guess I could tell this too. When CDs, well, not when they came out, but when CDs started becoming like what you should start getting and get a portable CD player back then. Um, I set out on a mission to get my first CD. So my first CD was actually purchased from, excuse me, not purchased. It was stolen from the Wiz.
Hey,
I don't know if you
shouts to
guys
the
remember
Wiz.
the Wiz. I
Nobody
know,
beats the
I know, I know.
Wiz.
Flacco remembers the Wiz, but it was stolen from the Wiz, and I didn't steal it myself. I won't take credit for that one. But a friend of mine at the time, he stole it from the Wiz and he sold it to me for $5. And the CDs were Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, and the
Hey,
show's movie soundtrack. Those are my first two
hey.
CDs ever.
So that means that you was going to sleep to every day rains. Things will
Mm-hmm.
never be the same. What? Love that soundtrack. Biggie performing "Me and My
Yo,
Bitch"
Cream.
live. What else was on that soundtrack?
Yeah, the Onyx was on there.
The Dove Shack joint. Oh, that Dove Shack joint was
Mm-hmm.
fire. That Dove Shack joint was.
Oh,
Mm,
you remember that? You remember that soundtrack? Yeah.
hell
I'm
yeah,
like,
bro.
Yeah. So after that, you guys remember they used to do like those little advertisements. You can get any CD you want for 1 penny, and then you got to
Yes.
put your credit card in or whatever. And I saw that and immediately my eyes lit up like, what? 1 penny? I was a kid, so I went in there and I signed up for it. And then one day I get a package drop at the door and it's like a whole box of CDs. And that's how I kind of started my CD collection. My mom smacked me upside my head a couple times, but it was worth it.
I imagine it was more than 1 penny.
Journey. Yeah, no, it was 1 penny for the first like 20 or so, and then it's a subscription, so they just keep sending you stuff every month, and it's like a $50, $60 bill every month that comes in.
Mm.
So by the time my mom figured out that I signed up for this, and she had to pay it off and cancel it for me, I had like a nice CD collection started.
So,
My God.
so
So,
basically, you're going through like the CD collection thing. Um, and I guess when do you develop more of an interest in becoming an artist, or like deciding you're gonna like
Facts.
pursue that?
honestly, it was Biggie. Listening to Biggie actually made me actually think about creating my own hip hop. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I genuinely like was infatuated with Biggie's whole sound, the lifestyle he had. I used to like literally. I remember walking through Plainfield, New Jersey, listening to the Fugees and Biggie like back to back, like just walking the streets, just listening to these things. So Fugees being from Jersey, it was like a different vibe. I felt like, oh wow, I'm in Jersey. These Jersey artists out here. And Biggie, I was born in Brooklyn. I used to be thinking all this stuff in my head and like listening to this, and one day, I would say it's about 1998, I want to say. Um, I decided to write a rap. So my first thing I did was I may have been like 97, whatever. Um, I basically took a Biggie song and I wrote it out, everything he said, right? And I broke down everything he said, how he delivered it, how he, structured it, however you want to put it. And then I said, I can do this. So that night, I wrote my first verse, right? I was scared shitless. I went to school with my friends. I'm at the lunch table, and I go, "Yo, I wrote a rap." Everybody's looking at me like, "Okay, well, spit it." I spit the
Mm-hmm.
verse. They said it was dope. They said it was all right. They said, "Yo, do it again." I'm like, "What? Oh shit!" So I went home, put another beat on, whatever song it was. I don't remember the song I was writing to over, but I wrote another one. Right. I remember it had to be after Biggie died. So I remember saying in that verse, it was like R.I.P. B.I.G. R.I.P. P.A.C. in the actual bars. I remember saying that, but let's just say this was terrible. Like overall, it was like the worst thing you probably would ever hear. It was just terrible, right? And I spit this at the lunch table, and I'm gonna call out some names actually on purpose to remind people. It was we call him Lexiano at the table. It was a good friend of mine named Blue, and I'm trying to think of anybody else that I have to key in on. No, but point is, and a bunch of other people that are, don't need to be named. But basically, they told me at that point, don't ever do it again. Don't rap again. You're trash. Forget about it. Don't do it again. And that obviously, your high school brain, that kind of hurts you. And I didn't rap again. I basically just cut it out. Like, all right, that's not for me. It sounds drastic, but that's what I thought. Like, oh, they said that's it. My second
He's
He'll
verse
like,
was
had two
trash.
people.
It's over.
he's like, I just took it like they said no. Fine,
Say
no
no more.
argument.
Fine.
I understand. I should
No,
not. When you
no, it
guys
is.
said yes, I was with it.
This is not me.
But I mean, at that point though, you also had the
So
drawing and
fast
stuff,
forward.
right? So it's not like you were like left without artistic
Oh yeah.
expression.
So
Cause like I mean, in the context, like you were just a rapper, it was your first only thing. It would be a little different than if you're already kind of prolific at something and you were just like, fuck it, I'm gonna try this out. You know, it's a little different. It's a different perspective.
right. So actually, it's funny you mentioned that. At that time, I was studying architecture, right? And I got really good at the whole visual layouts and doing things architecture. And I ended up winning second place in the New Jersey State competition for building basically an architectural layout and design. And that my whole like blueprint basically was posted in the local mall, and that was like my thing. Like, wow, I did like engineering class and architecture, and like I'm actually being honored for this thing. So I thought I was going to be an architect at that time, so that was my goals at that time.
And even that's
But
just like more art.
Word.
yeah, exactly. Is you
Structured.
have to be able to you have to basically visualize and basically sketched out plans ahead of time and know some obviously layout details, but essentially it's art. Um, but okay, I graduated high school, right? And I got my first computer at home. Excuse me, not my first computer. I shouldn't say that. My first personal computer for me. I had a computer in my household already, but it was shared between my sister and the family. But my own computer that I could have in my room, and it was the first computer I had that had a microphone that was embedded in the monitor, so I was able to record my voice. So when I realized that, I had a friend that lived across the complex from me. His name was Mechanics. He raps right now actually, but Mechanics had told me he had a program that I can literally record and put my vocals down and kind of track it a little bit and come up with a song. So he taught me how to do it. I came home. I started trying to mess around. So the irony of it though is the same people that I went to high school with that told me to stop rapping from that moment, I actually started a group with those same people. So Lexiano, Blue, there's a kid that was on my same building named Stamina, and another kid named Deshawn. We basically started a group called Flawless, and we were within our neighborhood, and because my apartment basically was the second place in the neighborhood that could record, we called my apartment basically Studio B. So across the complex was Studio A, and we had Studio B, and Studio A was like in my neighborhood was the old section which I lived in, and a new section, and we used to rival the new section naturally because they had different buildings. You know, oh, we're better in the old section, blah blah blah. So the same thing kind of happened with Studio A and Studio B. So everybody that was in the new section in Studio A used to diss us in Studio B, and Studio B would diss Studio A, and that's why how it became like a parody, like actually Joker all the time. Like it was never like serious, you know, it was like joking around. So that's why I called myself MC Moneybags, because I was just joking around, clowning everybody across the complex, you know. So obviously that was a little weird. A lot of like weird raps kind of came out of that situation, which I would never want anybody to hear. But that's how I learned. I learned how to start doing things, and the thing that I always remember, I was taught, and you can hear it is the way I speak even today. I was taught as a very young kid by my grandmother, never speak improperly. Always speak proper English, because you want people to know that you're educated, and you want people to know that you know what you're talking about. You know, communication is it. So that was one of my biggest things about rap. I used to try to do everything in proper English. And Blue, thank God for him, he told me one day, it's like, no, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. I'm like, what do you mean it's all wrong? It's not garbage. It's garbage. so, so I learned basically right then, like, I have to literally teach myself how to speak improper English, or, you know, for terrible words saying ebonics, essentially, or slang, in order to pull things off in hip hop, because sometimes you can't fit it structurally, you know, in a proper sentence for a rap. It's a rap, you know. Sometimes you have to get the point across, and you got to change the inflection of a word. It has to happen. So, you know, one of my first lessons in hip hop was garbage, not garbage.
That's wild, man. I mean, I definitely understand that lesson, because when I started writing, it was all about the proper English and you know, and then I had to learn about everything that goes into songwriting because, wildly, even in, like, other genres, they'll fuck up the language for a good song.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I had to really get over that. It was tough for me. So, what kept me going back then, especially, was beefing with other people. So I used to always pick beefs with different like neighborhoods and stuff. I started going to Middlesex County College, year 2000, 22 years ago. Jesus Christ. Basically, um, basically, I would be in the college center, and people would just start rapping, and I was still new at this. I had never been in a freestyle cipher before. Like, it was like a whole different world for me. So I actually met a guy that you guys know as Kai Base now, but he was Kyle to me back then. I met Kyle, and Kyle started rapping, and
So
I had
disrespectful. You
never
just
heard
out here
anything so
blasting his
amazing in my
legal
life.
name.
I was like, I did not know that was his name.
It's all right. I'm not saying his whole name. It's all right. So his rap name was Script back then, Big Script, and Big Script like literally changed the way I thought about hip hop at that moment. Like, he made me get myself like in a whole different path. I became the ill answer at that time, because I wanted to take it a little more serious. And I came from basically writing a rap, and I said something, I'm the ill answer to something, something, something. And I was like, the ill answer. Yeah, that's me. I am the ill answer. So it became ill answer from writing a rap. And
I can't believe they let you do that.
and yep, they did. It happened. It happened. So Big Script though was like way seasoned. He knew how to like do song structure way better than me. Like he already had like songs with like artists that I was like, yo, this is insane. And he actually came through to do a song with me at my house on my computer mic. And that was I was so like honored. You have no idea. Like he was like out there battling and stuff. He battled this kid named what's his name? Dr. Mindbender. And I was so impressed by that. I was like, I gotta get nice like Big Script. So that was like my new goal. Like I gotta get nice like Big Script. So basically I brought him to show to my team, and yeah, Kai B's got a lot of stories which I'll let him share whenever he gets the interview. But so we did this song, and at that time we had actually I'm skipping a very important part of this. Hold on, let me backtrack just one step. So before I met Big Script, right? This is very important. We had dropped a project called Flawless, self-titled, right? That was our group name. It was really three of us on the album, me, Blue, and Stamina. Stamina was the young kid from my block that was super nice. He was like a freshman in high school or something like that at the time, and I was like a freshman in college. And he was way better than even me, you know what I'm saying? So that's so much credit I'll give him. He was nice, right? We basically did like a 10, 11 song project, and amazing things happened basically. So this project crossed the hands of many people. It was terrible. It sounded like crap, but for some reason, people still wanted to hear more. And it passed the hands of an executive, and we actually ended up on the couch at Def Jam. We actually were getting questioned whether or not they wanted to give us a deal. They wanted to do like a whole like artist development thing with us because they saw something in us. So I was on my first year of rapping. I was on 50 something street in Manhattan, sitting on the couch while they watch a award show with DMX on, right? And they listen to my whole mixtape at the time. And who can say the first year of rapping they ended up on the couch at Def Jam? So that's a very important piece I'd like to mention.
That is a very important
56th
piece.
Street.
But that's pretty impressive.
56th Street, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Flacco's like,
once that happened,
what?
That's not
No,
correct.
I'm
It's
just
not
saying,
correct
I know
New
what it
York
is.
history. It's got to be on the right street here. Let me just amend.
the right street, 56th Street. I know it's 50 something. I forgot. It's been a long time. I've been over there. I've been there so many times after that, but anyway, that's another story.
So this was in the middle of you being MC Moneybags, or had you become ill answer at this point?
I had already changed the ill answer. I was the ill answer though. It was 3 words.
They let you do that.
They let me do that, and it was THA.
They didn't stop you.
So stereotypical.
They had every chance. They didn't.
So you run that.
They let it go. They let it go.
You meet up with Big Script, and that elevates things a bit.
Big Script.
See, that's the mistake everybody used to make. There's no T on it.
It's not
Big
Script. Script.
Bro, I'm like proper English white boy here from Montreal. It's sometimes hard.
Come on.
I heard it.
Big Script.
Script.
We won't fault you. We won't fault you, but just know.
Big Script.
Big Script.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
So,
all right, now you're emphasizing that P too hard. Jesus Christ.
So
that ain't P.
When Big Script came around, he basically changed how we basically looked at music. We wanted to get better as a collective, and we started doing music at Studio B with Big Script involved, and we started killing Studio A at that moment. I said it. Whoever's listening from Studio A, I know somebody's watching.
They're not. You gotta let it go. Little Ants are still beefing with them.
I'm still beefing with
22 years later.
I got a story to fill in with that one too, but
they all retired from
I got a
rapping.
great
They
story
got
to fill in with
kids.
that. I don't care.
Atlanta
So
still like it's on.
we had dropped a couple tracks at Studio B on one of these old nerdy hip hop websites. It may have been freestyling.com or one of these old hip hop sites. And I'm on there and I see in the comments, it's this kid in the comments, and he's like, "Yo, are you Stephan?" in the comments, and it turned out to be my boy from high school, Lexiano, who was at that original lunch table, and he was on the site as Lexiano, you know, Lex the Great or something like that. I forget, but whatever. We basically connected again, and it turns out he had his own little thing going. He had a nice little condenser mic in his crib and a preamp and a basement, and with a pool table, a nice little chill spot, like literally like 2 miles from my crib. And we started going over there recording with better quality, and we invited a couple other people we grew up with. This dude named CEO. He was the white guy of the group, I always say. And basically, basically, we formed a group called the Syndicates. Um, the Syndicates is probably my favorite part of my history, because that's when I saw so much growth like start, you know, and amazing things started happening once we became the Syndicates. And I have to also say that's what also started KM, also known as Junior Gaines, because we basically, true story, KM Junior Gaines did not rap until he heard the collective of the Syndicates, and he basically auditioned to be in the Syndicates to start rapping. So that was one of my things back then. I had to say. So we basically brought him in. He auditioned to be a part of basically my crew, and we all together were the Syndicates. And it was like 9 of us. Some of you might know AP the Great for Dolo Productions. He was in it. Trying to think anybody else you would know. Probably not, but you know, we were a nice little collective, and we were doing big things. We dropped Volume 1. The streets liked it. We thought it wasn't enough production on it, like as far as like quality. So we said, let's start spending some money. So we started going all the way to Long Island to this guy named Venom. Venom was in Hempstead, New York, and he had this great studio in Hempstead, New York. And we used to travel 2.5 hours sometimes to get there. And we dropped the Volume 2, which is called Sin City, which is, I feel like, our group's, you know, final but dopest project we ever did, you know, like complete, that is. Um, that was very important because that project basically landed us at EO Dub. Um, Lexiano was telling us about it basically, and this was like 2004. And he said, "Yo, it's this club in New York where they do hip hop that he thinks will be appreciated at." And he says we should kind of get our performance shoes wet and go up there. So the Syndicates basically went up to EO Dub, and the first night we went there, it was I guess a regular night for the Dub, but you know, amazing to me. And I never forget, it was Big Zoo, Nunzio, doing like a Solid Ground song, I believe, and like Vice and Pro, and everybody's basically on stage, and they cut the lights out completely. And I've never been more inspired by this, but anything but in this moment, but I was inspired. They cut the lights and they all had flashlights. And while they're performing, whoever was rapping, they all put the flashlight on the person that was rapping. And I was just amazed, like, oh, what the hell is this? I've never seen anything like this in my life. Like, oh my God, and you want me to get on that stage? So, so I said, fuck it, I got to get up there. So I basically set on a mission to come back to the Dub and basically get on that stage and be one of the artists on the stage. So that started like a whole nother element of hip hop for me in general, like where I would actually like think of the performance in. Like it wasn't just, you know, rap, go to the studio anymore. It was like, how would I perform this now? Like, so that introduced me to a whole nother world. I started networking with like crazy people, like you wouldn't even believe. I didn't even know, like I knew who Pumpkinhead was, PH was. because I had a CD. Somebody had given me the Orange Moon over Brooklyn, I think it's called, CD, and I had it in my car all the time. I would play it, but I didn't know what he looked like. Turns out I already knew him from Jersey because he had lived out there in Per Fanboy near me for a while, and I had bumped into him, him promoting events and stuff out there. So when I met him again in the city, I just thought it was somebody I knew from Jersey, not knowing that's Pumpkinhead, So I was cool with Pumpkinhead all nonchalant all the time back in the day. Didn't even know who he was until one day somebody said, "Oh yeah, you heard his CD?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what?" So that was one of those interesting moments with the dub. Like, it's like, wow, I'm like mingling with like some of the greats and don't even know it. And yeah, so my first time performing at the dub was actually an anniversary night. It was like, I think 2004 anniversary. And that was like life changing for me because I was terrible. I was like doing this weird thing where I'm looking up in the air when I rap because I was so nervous. And that pretty much, pushed me forward. I was I was moving at a different speed, a different pace, and I really appreciate that part of my life the most. So
that's so if I understand correctly, I was pushing. You got to go all the way to Def Jam. You made all your music. Studio B turned into Studio C. And then you went to the dub, and that's when it really elevated for you. So all of that other stuff was just to get you to the dub. But then the dub, and it's interesting you bring up the performance element because I don't think a lot of people really talk about how they learn to perform. But like Rise Hendrix brought up performing, and he's doing quite well these days. So like he brought up his whole I got smoother dance and just the idea of practicing that shit, and then you're bringing it up again, and so I guess maybe performing is on my mind as the world opens up in Montreal. But yeah, not a lot of people really like focus on just the way to perform multiple songs. It's like they wildly just studio to the release. Maybe they do the music video, but does that song translate to I had to learn the hard way that you don't necessarily do a 6-minute song when they don't know who you are. That's not a good move.
Nah.
Right. You definitely learned that the dub.
Yeah.
You definitely learned that.
But
honestly, my dream, I would say this was my dream at that time to be involved with the dub like at a different level because I was so infatuated with how amazing it was, and like the energy in that place was unmatched. Like I had performed probably like 20 other places by the time I say in the 2005. I had done like so many performances. Back in the day it was called Remote Lounge, Mercury Lounge, Pianos. That may have been later, but it's like all these spots all over New York City I performed at. Like I know the Pussycat Lounge was like a strip club bar with a stage downstairs, and girls have like gunshots and like scars and shit. But
such a grand exaggerator.
Fuck, I was like, no, I've been there. The girls were not quite like we were describing, sir.
It was girls in there with battle wounds, man. I don't care what you say.
No, they're fucking emotional scarred, mentally scarred, baby.
Yo, it was a girl in there with like one leg. Stop playing, yo.
He said one leg. Too far, but... Jesus Christ. That's the shit you find in those rural places. Not New York.
Doing a uni twerk.
This guy.
That was not the dub. Yeah, that's what I'm taking from it.
Not at all.
No, so I guess so. All right, so now we're talking performances, right? So 2006, right? I started noticing. Well, excuse me. Let me take this back. Big Script came to me, and he said, "You know what we should do? We're meeting a lot of new people." He said, "We should form a collective of people from Jersey that we know, and kind of grow in popularity with the people we know, And he said we should call it the Maniac Squad. And I said, "Wow, that's a good idea. Like that sounds crazy." So I took his idea. I'm gonna make sure I say that correctly. It's his idea. I don't want anybody to think I'm saying I took credit for that. I don't. Basically, I took his idea and I just started running my mouth, just like I'm running my mouth right now. I was out there. I was meeting groups all the time in Jersey, especially, and I was just saying like, "Hey, we're starting this umbrella thing. We don't know where it's going, but we're taking everybody who's a manager, rapper, dancer, whatever you do. If you're from Jersey, you're entertainment. If you're a lawyer, whatever. As long as if in Jersey, that's the only criteria we want. We're gonna form this collective called the Maniac Squad. So whenever you have an event or something, all we have to do is pick up the phone, call somebody at the Maniac Squad. We'll send the invites to everyone. Everybody pulls up. That's Maniac Squad. So that was the whole premise. So
Smart.
instead of trying to necessarily build fans, we decided to bring everybody with us.
All your
Period.
fan
Everybody's
base
all
together.
connected.
Hmm.
And one of the things in Jersey in particular is everybody kind of hates on one another. Each city, kind of hates on that city. And on top of that, we're in the shadow of New York City. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're always trying to prove ourselves because we're from Jersey. Excuse me. And so I was trying to alleviate some of that stress. Like, why are we beefing with each other? You know what I'm saying? So I went around. I picked some of the best people I could find. Um, I'm not gonna mention everybody. There's too many to mention, but I'll note some people that are popping now. I guess Justina, Valentyne, Big Script was in AP for Dola Productions. There's a guy named Reek who does Ill City right now. Ill City, they're signed basically through Do It All and Lord Jamar, I believe. I don't want to mess that
Do
up.
it all from
And also
Lords of the
Tretch is
Underground.
involved. Yeah, exactly. They're signed through
Who's
them. Who
also, I
also was
think,
connected to
didn't he
Justina.
run for mayor, or is he mayor
Yes, he did.
um
Of Newark.
of Newark? Yeah, I think he won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he didn't actually, unfortunately.
No, he didn't. Oh, okay.
But
Word.
no, he didn't. Unfortunately, but
Oh, okay. But
it is what it
still,
is.
yeah. Wasn't Ren Thomas a member?
Okay, I don't want to go too far into that, but no, Ren was not a member of that. He could have been,
Word, word, word.
but I knew him a little bit, but not really like that. I used to see him at shows back in the day. He was in another group called Backpack Superheroes or something like that. I forget the real title, but
Right,
yeah, he used to
right.
be. I at that time, I want to say with Maniac Squad involved, I was doing over 100 shows locally, and a couple of shows in Connecticut and Virginia and stuff like that, but mostly locally at that time every year. So that's a big number for someone who's relatively unknown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's
And
good.
in Jersey, I was a lot more known and more accepted, throughout than you would know for me coming to the dub. So in the dub, everybody took to my brother out of the syndicate crew at that time, and he had kind of made his transition into starting his own team called Make a Move.
Your brother KM,
So
formerly known as.
KM
Mhm.
Unir Games, as he calls them now. Basically, so in New York, it was kind of interesting thing because I purposely took a back seat, so I would purposely put myself behind my brother because I wanted to support him. So I found that I'm a marketing guy from the gate, so I didn't even talk about that part piece yet. I'm going back to that, but so marketing is embedded in me. So once I see something works marketing wise, I'm behind it. That's how it works. So I put all my eggs basically into behind him, make sure he was the one known. So in Jersey, I focused more on me, and that's kind of how I did that, and it kind of worked for a while. So that's what it was. But because I did that, a lot of stuff I did or was a part of was unknown. So it's like, say, the Maniac Squad. I wasn't really a main member of the Maniac Squad, but I was like the one picking up the phone calls, getting the calls from England, people cursing me out, talking about they hate the Maniac Squad. But then I get another call, we want you to perform in Connecticut. It was a lot of like dramatic stuff with the Maniac Squad because we started doing jump off TV battles, and we started trying to take over that. So that's a whole nother
Jump
world.
off TV battles, which were the first kind of like, that was the first like battles that were happening in person, but going like on YouTube, the videos and whatnot.
hmm So
before
Mm.
Grind
in
Time.
this era, let me
Grind
also
Time was
put
kind
you
of
in
Wait,
born
wait.
out
parallel.
of that's where the jump
It was
off
born out of
battles. We
that.
had guests, Jay Smooth, who explained the missing tapes and all
Wait,
this
wait,
stuff
wait.
from the
Hmm.
history of jump off, which is what birthed Grind Time from there. Which Direct also mentioned in his interview. So, yep, yeah.
Yeah, of course, all of that is evolved around the Maniac Squad stuff too. So I would touch on that. But basically, at the same time, parallel to hip hop world, in my personal life, I was also working at the largest advertising agency in the world. So I started there around like 2001, maybe, and I was working there at the same time, which was basically funding my hip hop stuff. And I was on the side. I was also doing artwork for artists like Big Zoo, Nunzio. Back then, Robin Marks now was Webified. I was doing a lot of Webified stuff. Grammy Award winning artist or and slash producer Jay Storm, or I don't know what he goes by now, but I was doing his stuff back then. You name it, I was basically behind the scenes. Even with Jump Off TV battles, Harry would come to me. He would sit down in my workspace and he would talk to me about where he should go in the city to battle, who he should put together to battle. What do I know? So I was involved with things heavily in hip hop at that point, but in the background,
Mm.
So a lot of people don't even know that. So along with that, a lot of things are synonymous with my brother at the times. We were basically like this all the time back then. We were doing Fight Club back then as well. So Fight Club, I know everybody knows like the Iron Solomon Jin battle. All these big time battles. I think Nims and Old Solo was one on MTV back then.
Hmm.
So we were trying to be like them in a sense and get him on the air for battling. So I was behind the scenes helping push him while he battled. I sat there while he battled 20 MCs at the pool table off air, right?
Yeah, off air.
Just for
I
them to
mean,
tell him
that's where we all, were, because
he
they
won
were,
20 battles one night. Who can do that? 20 battles one night, right? And then he told them they don't want to put him on the air.
they were
So
just different. You know what I mean? Like they were
they were.
very, they like, I remember when I went in there, they had like a battle lined up for me, but like I didn't know who it was. I just went in there and I
Hmm.
was freestyling and bodying him because the cameraman was laughing. Like when I had the cameraman laughing, I
Hmm.
was like, forget it, I'm killing this kid. You crazy? And they came up to me afterwards. It was like, yo, you did really good, but don't ever come in here freestyling again. And I was just like,
Yeah,
okay,
they want you to
shit.
come like they don't trust they specifically told us they don't trust freestyling, and that's all my brother pretty much
Mm-hmm.
did. They don't trust it on air. They want everything to be solid,
Mm-hmm. On
which
air. Yeah,
I think is
exactly.
a negative to them back then because they should have accepted as long as it's fire. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
But
but
they
also I
uh,
understand the quality control.
Yeah.
Like, like as somebody who's like throwing events, I understand. Like, they're in battle rap, especially nowadays, where it's just like I expect my I expect somebody who I give a platform to come prepared, and coming prepared is having your rounds written and memorized, not
Mm.
showing up and trying to freestyle through 3 rounds.
Cause like
That's offensive to me.
I look
Because
at it
now it's just
also
like, oh,
like
you
like we
just whatever, huh?
we also like when your boy is the illest or your brother is the illest. That's cool. But you just got to imagine how many people are not the illest too, and so maybe they can
Mm-hmm.
handle it in like the context of at like the pool table or whatever. But can they do that on camera with like like I get it from a production
mhm.
point of view, but I also get it from the point of view where it's like maybe not as open or like they're missing out on obvious
So
talent and stuff.
now that you say that, I have to kind of jump in because you're gonna segue me into the next part. So I don't want to be all night, but um, so basically, once they told him no, he had the idea of going to 106 in Park, and I rode with him basically, um, because I believed in him. You know what I'm saying? So we would go up there, and I'm gonna tell part of this, not the whole thing, because I feel like this is more his story. So I'm tell just part of it. Um, Went up there, and he wasn't supposed to be on the air, but we lied and said he was. So I would be there backing him, and every time he went up there, every week we'd say, "He's supposed to be on the air. What's going on? We're up here. They're not putting us on. Let us in," you know. And eventually we get a name, and we drop that name. The next week we come, "Oh, Jim said blah blah blah," and then they go and ask for somebody else. Then they give us another name. So every week we would do that until finally we went one week, and we ended up going to the pizza shop down the block because they didn't let us in. And we're in the pizza shop, and we seen a guy that was in the building now in the pizza shop, and we just started openly talking and mentioning names we were dropping and stuff like that, how we're supposed to be on the air. And the guy turns around and goes, "Hey, you guys supposed to be on the air today?" We're like, "Yeah, we are." He goes, "Oh, well, I'm the cameraman." We're like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yeah, hold on, let me call such and such." So he calls somebody, and they literally walked us in there. And that's how my brother ended up winning basically the most wins in
Bravo,
Simpson Park
sir.
history.
Bravo.
That's
That's the way.
that's out
That's
of
the
a
way
movie.
to. Now that's the way to move. Like I tell people all the time from like working in the stagehand industry that like I could walk into any event that I want to, but like this is like a live thing, and I don't want to put that into the world, and I don't want to explain how to do that to people.
Yeah,
But
please
like,
don't.
yeah, ill is quite a entrepreneurial young man with a hustler spirit to like. That's how
Nah,
you
it's
do it
wild
right
still.
there.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, no.
yeah. So I mean, that whole thing turned into like one of the biggest moments, especially for him, because he was actually on the air and doing things. But behind the scenes, I was like in love with the world. I was able to see the inner workings of BET on CBS. It was filmed at CBS Studios,
Mhm.
and I was able to see things that enlightened me to a different level where I'm behind the scenes basically telling people what to do in order to make things look better on camera. And if not me, I would say my brother we're credited having the biggest episode on 106 The Park history with the most ratings, more than Bow Wow ever had or anybody. And it sucks because we weren't paid, we weren't like anything of
Yeah,
that nature, but basically
yeah.
it's things that I've personally been behind. And I mean, we had BET come out to New Jersey and film us like a reality show, you know, like who could say that? And then we didn't just stop there. His competition was a friend of ours too. He was from Newark, so we had them go film him too. Like we were helping other people, in the same, you know, movement. And that was
Building
that was
Jersey up.
that was a great time.
Mhm.
So
Nah, you guys did a
moving
you
ahead,
guys did a
basically,
you guys did a great job. I can tell you from like being around EO Dub at the same time and kind of being like we were all in the same class like around the same time.
I like
You
that,
guys
the
would
same
move really
class.
tight. Yeah, I
we're
mean,
the same
cause
class, definitely.
yeah, yeah, same years. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Um,
Sam.
Listen,
same
I'm gonna
same
say right
graduating
here,
class. You know what I mean?
that same graduating class had the Maniac Squad, and guess what? The Maniac Squad won the team challenge. I'm
Yeah, they did.
gonna say it out here to remind people: we won the
Hmm.
team challenge. We beat FYL. I'm
Hmm.
gonna put that out there. People seem to forget
FYL is
that.
fuck your life crew. I don't think that the year that you guys won though that Nems was in it, right? Or was he?
I think he was not.
I think he was not. But
I
Dayton,
think he.
it's also not like you guys were up against slouches. I imagine because like
Oh no,
FY,
they had
like the
Iron
crews
Solomon even
always,
on their
you know what I
team.
mean?
Like
They were solid guys. You know what I mean? Iron Solomon, Nems, Dayton, which is like Dayton is like
Eternal.
pretty like if you look up Dayton Holden, you'll be like, oh, who the fuck is this guy that I never know about?
Yeah,
And
he's also from
start
Jersey.
like
Know
being
that.
all
Know
impressed
that.
by his numbers and his visibility online. But yeah, nah, you guys were tight and you guys repped for Jersey hard. Like there was nobody in the New York City indie scene at the time that was probably repping
Listen,
for Jersey as hard
there
as you
was only
guys.
one member of the Maniac squad that was not from Jersey. Only one. And that member was J Arch. J
Hmm.
Arch, I call him Uncle. J Arch
Rest in peace
demanded
to Archer.
that he be a part of this. Rest in peace to him,
Yo,
definitely.
rest in
He
peace to Archer,
demanded
man. He
because the
was such a
movement,
supporter, great supporter.
he
That's
was.
crazy. Jay Arch
He
is like
demanded.
the bridge between our groups then, because Jay Arch was also a member of the
Yeah.
Bronx Zoo Animals, and he was on the Bronx Zoo Animals
Mm-hmm.
mixtape, and Archer was also a member of the Bronx Zoo. So it's just like it goes, and he was adamant too about, you know what I mean, being a part of that. He's also a member of Immortal Techniques uh crew. Oh man, I'm it's slipping my mind.
He used
But like Swave Seva, Poison
Rebel
Pen,
Arms, I think it
Rebel
was.
Arms. There we go, Rebel Arms. He's a member of Rebel Arms. Like like this who we're talking about right now. J Arch is like, shh, bro, another level type of guy. Rest in peace, J Arch.
Right. So, I mean, obviously, a lot happened after 106 and Park. I became like, I guess, like a more assistant backup to my brother, basically, which put me in a position where I was constantly dealing business with some people out there, in the industry. Um, uh, Basically, my brother had the opportunity to get booked on tour with Jay Z, and obviously, I'm going with him. So we were on the Blueprint 3 tour. I used to handle like artwork, obviously, when you need it on the road. I would basically assist with bags and things like that, and kind of humbled myself just to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? And it was an interesting experience. I was we basically shared a tour bus with Memphis Bleek and his crew, and I learned a lot from Bleek. Even he taught me things
Um,
like
you're talking about Get
always
Low
always
Entertainment,
wear Get Low
right?
Entertainment, or I think he's Warehouse Music Group
Well,
now.
oh
Yeah,
damn, no, was it Warehouse
but
already? It's Warehouse
it
now,
was it was Get Low
but
then. Still, it's
I was
Warehouse
gonna
now.
say, yeah, back
It was
then,
Get Low back then.
Blueprint 3 was still Get Low, I think. Then now
It was still
it's
Get Low.
Warehouse. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Young Proof, Living Proof, because he was like Bleak's protege back then. We used to chill with him a lot. But basically, he taught me some strange things that I never would know, like never walk around the tour bus without like some kind of sock on or some kind of flip flop on, because you use the
Facts,
bathroom
facts,
in the little
facts.
in the little bathroom, right? And what happens when you pee? You get splashed a little bit. It gets on the floor. You got 15 guys on a tour bus. Somebody's splashing, like it's moving.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
15.
So what
That's
happens? You get
15
piss on your
guys
sock or
splash.
whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
nasty.
And you're gonna track that
Hmm.
into your bunk when you go to sleep, right? And then
Oh,
you're gonna get sick.
nasty. Ugh.
So he used to tell you
Yep.
never walk around. If you have socks on, you go and travel on a bus, you take them shits off and you throw them out or you do something else. You know what I'm saying? But never get in your bunk with anything that you're walking around the bus on. And
Bro, I
things
never
like
would
that
have
was like,
thought of
holy
that.
shit!
I
Like I would
never
never
would
know
have. Like,
Yeah.
and then not that there's a health aspect to it, right? Like, this isn't just some vapid. It's like, bro, we can't afford you getting sick on tour, so don't do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Big facts.
And then the thing I have to say in public is in 1999, I was trying to be Memphis Bleek's like protege, without even knowing me. So I used to wear my hat like him, had a do rag on all the time, and I just kind of started forming my bars a little bit like him because I liked his delivery back then. Even though people traditionally say he's terrible, they don't like him. I always felt the opposite. I identify with a lot of things he said because it is what it is, right? So for me to be on a tour bus in Memphis Bleak was like, holy shit! Like I can't believe I went from buying this guy's CDs to listen to Rockefeller freestyles on the radio to playing spades and talking about fucking Call of Duty with him. You know what I'm saying? And that was like a whole different like perspective, and that's when I really realized like, hey, people are people. You know what I'm saying? Like he's Memphis Bleak, but he's still a person. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even interested in hearing like anything about his old songs or anything. He's like, whatever, man. Let's chill. So it was a whole different thing.
I mean, that makes sense too. It's like Flacco was saying to me earlier, like famous people don't want to be like gushed over in that way. Like in a sense, they want to have people that they
Nobody
can talk
does.
about Call of Duty with. Cause
Only a sociopath wants to have somebody in their face all like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Anybody else, anybody who's famous is like, bro, you're the millionth person. You're super unmemorable. But like
mm,
the more like calm, cool that you are about shit, the more respect that you get out of those type of people. You know?
but also
Exactly.
it's
So,
yeah.
well, I was just gonna say, I mean, aside from all that tour experience, that was my second opportunity to go out the country. I have to also mention that right before we went on the Jay Z thing, we ended up one of our team members. I had moved on to basically leaving the Maniac squad, and I actually joined in my brother's team, which is Make a Move. And one of the team members, Dirty Mac, won the U.S. Challenge of Championship, and he got
For
the
EO
opportunity to
Dub.
go to England. So we went to England, yeah, for EO Dub, and we went to England for 10 days. We were out there like a couple days before everyone else, and we were able to really take in London and get to do things that nobody else kind of ended up doing in that stint. For instance, we got to talk to the youth out there about the dangers of knife crime, which is here would be like gun violence, but over there was knife crime, and and also we were able to hit the studio. So I have a song with like Stick of the Dump and like all these people, and I actually was like the anchor on that. That was one of my proud moments. Like, I always wanted to link up with Stick. He's not really that friendly in that sense, but he's people, but he's not like the one that's gonna be like, oh, come do a song with me like right away. You know what I'm saying? He has to get to know you kind of person. So it was kind of dope that I was able to go out there. Basically, that was my first tour experience altogether because we were having to travel a different country, get to different venues and events. We performed all over the place, and it was a dope experience there too. So shout out to England, everybody in the UK, Maslow.
Shouts to the UK. Yeah, shouts to Maslow.
Yeah. All right, so you're basically working behind the scenes, learning all that stuff that we all wish we knew how to do but don't, and then rely on people like you to do. Let's be real. Figuring out how to make bags,
Yeah.
that side of it, and then like coming up with the. Well, I guess if you like drawing, the graphics is fun, but if you don't like drawing, like I do not, graphics is not fun to create. So appreciate those people too. So you'd be like really holding down those rules and like learning a lot of valuable stuff for a very long time is what I'm understanding throughout. I don't know. It sounds like a good decade of this across the Maniacs and everything else.
At that point, it was a decade, a decade strong.
And then, so yeah, what kind of happens next with that situation?
So what happens next? Actually, this is probably my lowest point, my lowest point in my life. Actually, I on tour. I can't really say everything because this is again. I would rather my brother tell his part of the story because it's mostly his. But let's just say things didn't work out on the tour fully, where we found out our manager or my brother's manager really, but he helped me too. Was a con artist, so he was able to con his way into everybody basically, even con Jay Z. To be honest with you, um, we found out he was no good, and he was taking money from us. He was taking money from other people, and he was only using enough money to get us from point A to point B, and then pocketing the rest or whatever it was, or saying he didn't have money when he did to get stuff done that we were supposed to. Basically, he stole probably $500,000 was my estimate, with resources and actual money. Can't prove everything, but it is what it is. And ended up basically coming home a little bitter. And I actually quit my advertising job to go on this tour. And the thing was, I was supposed to get rehired when I came back. So they wouldn't let me take a leave of absence. And they, while I was gone in a few months, they had a new change of finance officers at that company, and basically the new finance guy saw in the books that I quit, even though it was a special deal I worked out. He wouldn't let them rehire me. So basically, I was came home to a stack of bills. I didn't have the money to
No
basically
job.
pay my bills after that tour, because I didn't get my money because the manager basically stole the shit. Um, no job, and I had a live-in girlfriend at the time who I ended up marrying later on. But basically, it was rough, put it that way. And I got into a real depressed state, and I didn't have the inspiration to rap anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because my job traditionally was my finance for the music, and I didn't make a lot of money from the music. You know, I made some, but it wasn't enough to support me. At the
Right.
time. So I basically went into like a downward spiral, and I got into real life for a while. Basically, I want to say I learned web development. I already kind of had a basis of it. I knew HTML already, but I got really into it. I ended up building over a span of 3 years 48 websites. I got into that, and then my now ex-wife uh, told me basically I should get a degree while I'm taking this time doing what I'm trying to figure out things. Um, Go back to school. So I went back to school, went back to Middlesex County College again, and I got a couple courses in graphic design, and I already know it, so it's not like it's like hard work for me. But in the curriculum, I learned photography. Now, not even realizing it, for 10 years prior to that, I had a friend named Dalton, rest in peace. He used to teach me things in the photography studio at work all the time. And I never cared or paid attention. In fact, the picture right here on the screen right now, he took that picture
Mm.
in that studio I'm talking about. That's kind of funny. But basically, he basically was showing me how to do product placement for L'Oreal, Black and Decker. We used to shoot. I'm not supposed to say this, but we would shoot Nikon ads with Canon cameras. So he showed me like all the things, and back then I was just like, whatever. This guy's just talking, blah blah blah. I wasn't taking it in. But when I took one course in photography, I realized like, holy crap, I'm actually good at this. So I immediately ran out and I got a job. That's the first thing I did. I ran out and I got a job as a school photographer. It was the quickest job that hired me. I took it. It was like $100 a day or something like that. Whatever. It was nice to have that. Plus doing websites, it was cool. So I learned photography a lot, and I got really into it. And with that happening, within a year, the owner of the company basically called me and said, "Hey, my photography lab guy quit. You want to come work in the lab?" He had no idea that I had such a advertising graphic background. So I came in there and I immediately took over his studio. And within a few months, he tells me he's leaving. Like he's basically going to have to find another job. He said, or I can give you the company and you can take over. So at that time, the company was worth about 1.5 million. They're in business a year. Um, what was I gonna do? Lose my job or take it over? Who wouldn't take that opportunity? So of course, me and my other coworkers, we took over the company. So I ended up owning a graduation product company, and not just any company. It's the only company that's a one-stop shop in the country still to this day. So one stop, excuse me, it was called Premium Marketing Group at the time, and Premium Marketing Group did all the graduation products, cap and gowns, yearbook, school photography, you name it, anything, sashes, tassels, anything like that. We would take care of it and do all the schools in the local area, all through New York, all through Jersey, PA, and whoever else called. So I ended up taking that over some time, and in that process, I learned how to do apparel for schools. So doing apparel for schools, um, obviously it's like it's a different thing because it's so specific. Everybody uses like the same colors. Most schools are like royal white or gold and black. School gold is like Steelers gold, and you pay pretty much in that same realm. But then I started learning how to design specifically for like t-shirts and the functionality of apparel. And then I learned how to purchase it. I learned how different formats of how to print like vinyl, and I learned all different kind of ways, and it became this whole thing to the point where I got more into the apparel than the actual graduation stuff. So needless to say, I basically, through a bunch of drama and turmoil, I had to call my aunt in basically, and she bought me out for like 300 grand, and now she owns that company and named it One Stop Grad. So she's taken over that whole thing, and now I just handle the apparel part of that situation. So that's kind of how I got into the merch. So I basically learned from an old Egyptian guy who's actually a funny guy. I didn't want to talk too much about him, but he's hilarious. He used to kind of like say things like the literal meaning of words. Like he would call you stupid, but he just wanted to tell you like, hey, you're being ignorant, So he had a certain way of saying things, but it would come off really like brutal, You're like, hey, stupid, you did this wrong, don't do that again.
My
You're like,
kind
whoa,
of
who are you
guy.
talking to?
My kind of
So yeah,
guy.
he's your kind of guy until he says, "Hey, slave boy, come with me." You're like, "What?"
I mean, you know.
He's like, "That's a little rough."
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
he pushed you in a
old
different way,
school.
because if he wasn't like that, I probably wouldn't have learned it, because
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want him talking to me like that. You know what I mean? Because I'm either beat him up or quit. So I gotta learn the stuff, or beat him up or quit. This is one of the only options. So
I'm
so
glad
that's
that
kind
you
of how I
have
got into it. He
the
kind of
get
forced
better
me into it.
option. That's amazing. So you get better,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
now
I
you've
argue with him.
and then that led to you having now your own merchandising situation where you can design your own clothes and do whatever with that.
Yeah, definitely. So, because of my advertising background, I was able to basically transition into the apparel part seamlessly. Like I was able to. I already knew the programs. Essentially, I just had to learn how the inks work, and how to get stuff printed on shirts, And basically, half the battle is sourcing the materials. And once you know how to get, blank merch in general, it kind of like falls in place after that with just like the machinery and things like that. So
Right. So is that Rosebud? That's what that is, or when does that come into it?
oh well, Rosebud is actually my brand, my personal brand. That's actually has something to do with my daughter. Actually, my youngest daughter, Rose, Mia Rose is her name. She came about in a very troubling situation, which I can't obviously talk about, but she came about in a very harsh environment, and I feel like she doesn't get the appreciation on all sides of my family that she deserves, and to not go underappreciated. I've one of the things me and my ex came out with was basically Rosebud. My goal is for Rosebud to eventually um, basically support her life when she gets older. That's kind of the seed of it. So I know for a fact that I'm going to have Rosebud, pay for her college when she gets of that age, and hopefully even bigger. So that's kind of the dream and the goal, and Rosebud has that kind of message behind it. So it's the one's love for oneself, basically, a rose in the concrete. So Rosebud.
That's what marketing sounds like, though. That's like a
Hmm?
whole story. I'm invested in the brand. I'm like damn near like, where's the checkout page?
Oh, it's Rosebud.shop for anybody who wants to check it out. We have tons of stuff, and if you hit me at the Instagram page, which is right here on the screen, I can do custom pieces for you too, because we're still a small brand, and it's basically just me running it. So we do it.
And how long? And so you've been doing that since since you got into the merchandising, or
Rosebud really started in 2018.
okay,
However, it was established in 2017, and what I mean by that is the birth of my daughter, Mia Rose. She was born July 3rd, so I feel like it was established
when she was born. Makes sense.
Right.
So, so throughout the 2010s, then you're basically learning all about making clothes and whatnot. You already had the marketing background. You're able to, and you said you're doing photography at the same time.
Yep.
So
photography at the same time.
It's like a whole lot of things. Are you still rapping though?
Well, when my big brother Vice passed, it was in a whirlwind of stuff going on. I had broken up with my youngest daughter, his mother, basically, and I was kind of like in a situation where I didn't have any place to go. My money wasn't right. Things were all messed up. I was basically now in a quarantine at my ex's house with her mother and my daughter, and it was a whole like drama, and I didn't really know what was going on, and I was trying to start digging myself out, and then when this whole thing happened where we all ended up on Zoom, it made me realize I need to focus more on the merch. Really just do focus on merch and printing people products basically. So obviously during COVID, most people were like at home and bored. Me, I ended up working 3 times as much. Some people remember seeing me on Zoom. You guys want to know, but I would always be showing everybody that I'm going to the warehouse. I'm working on things, and I actually blew up during the quarantine big. Like I more than quadrupled what I was making in like the first like 3 or 4 months of quarantine there, and everything kind of just evolved into kind of like literally the last 3 weeks I've done probably I don't know 1,700 different apparel pieces between my aunt because she already has built-in business with the schools still. So I have all these schools in Newark, New Jersey, New York, and PA. And then I also have other customers from my friends. Obviously, I know a lot of famous rapper type friends. They all come to me now. And notable, you should check out Homeboy Sandman's merch on his Bandcamp. I'm doing that. We have few new pieces dropping for that. I also do some stuff for EO Dub, which is dropping in May, which is going to be fire. And yeah, it's a whole lot. I could keep naming, but I'm not going to do that. But
Did the Littyyy Bros
but
T-shirts for Volume 2?
I did the Littyyy Bros T-shirts. That's right.
I got told
made
those were
Forest City Brewery.
real soft shirts that were sourced with good material, is how it was described.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not giving you a Gildan unless you want a Gildan.
Thank you for that.
I mean,
Goddamn Gildans.
yeah, I went into
Hate
the
them
world
shits.
of like, okay, I need to make merch. That's the phase I'm at. Holy shit, is there a lot of brands? Like, I don't know, it's like it's super overwhelming to like look at. I do know Gildan is basic and it's almost like a joke at this point. So I learned that.
Okay, all right, hold on. I'm gonna clear it up. We can't totally tarnish Gildan. Gildan does make quality shirts too, right? The thing is, they have the most tiers of shirts. So like, they have like this little rough, tattered little thing that they have. I think it's like the Gildan 200, right? The Gildan 200 is like, I don't know, cheap. Let's put it that way. Somebody would probably sell you one with a print on it for $5 because the shirt is so cheap. And then you can go up the next level. I think it's like the 400 or something like that. I don't know all the numbers, but there's another tier. So the next tier is a little tougher. It washes, holds better. It's not as thin. And then you can go all the way up to like a soft style. Gildan's soft style is actually nice.
Yeah, the soft
starts,
style is the best one, but you can also get.
It's not, but it's up there. They also have Gildan Hammer, which like say they have like a Gildan sort of looks like this. The Gildan Hammers are so nice. I actually print Rosebud sweatshirts on that. Not this one, but I do have a higher quality version. And those people put that on. They're like, "What is this?" Because it has a Rosebud tag in it. They don't know what it is, but it's actually a Gildan. It's amazing. So they have levels, nifty. Man. And then they have a hoodie, right? That's literally like it feels like butter. It's so nice. It has no drawstring, and the hood has like elastic in it, and it hangs off your shoulders nice and perfect. So everybody freaks out right away, like, "Oh, where's my string? I need my string." And then they put it on, and they call me like, "Yo, this Gildan, wow, this is nice. This is my favorite hoodie." I said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna steer you wrong."
Man.
So it's all perception and what you're really trying to do, man. Like if you want to have a brand that has something that people want to wear in general and feel comfortable, I will help you find that.
This is the
If you
man's
just want
business.
somebody to, if you're a rapper, you just want to promote your name real quick,
Nah,
I'll give you
yo, it's
something
more
else
than that,
because it
right?
doesn't
Because
matter.
it's not even about like myself. Even I thought about it like this. This company gave me a shirt, like just random, like some software shit. It came in one of those gift boxes that companies send out with shirts that are cut.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, this is the softest shit ever after I put it through laundry hell for like years. And I thought to myself, this is the only shirt I have that is like this nice. 2 years later, wearing it, I hate the color. I don't even like the shirt, but it's just it's such a good shirt. And then I'm like, nah, I want that effect, right? Like, it's more
Yeah.
like if you want people to come to your shit, you like, cause when you buy the cheap shit, right? Like, I bought like a hoodie because I thought the color was, bro, it was deaded within like months, right? Like, you can't really be relying on that. And I don't want people to wear my merch and not be able to rock that shit in 7 years. Not because otherwise, what's the
Mm-hmm.
point? This is like long-term branding investments, right? So I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
shirts don't last forever, but
Well,
and obviously, I don't want to like charge the most ridiculous prices because I'm not Kanye West and I'm not trying to go down that path. But like that level of retention where it's like affordable, but like mad comfortable, proper after 2 years. Let's say that's the sweet spot, which I don't know how to find because like
well, what you want to do is whatever that shirt is, you want to look at the tags and you want to see the breakdown of what the materials are, and you start
Mm-hmm.
there. You see the breakdown of materials, and then you start searching the internet for those materials and see if you can find anything similar, and you start there, and that's how you start learning what you like. You know what I'm saying? So
even
once you
that.
get that thought, you kind of narrow it down. So I'm telling you, when you see it with the breakdown of the shirt, you're gonna say okay, and then it becomes who's printing it for you, what are they doing to get what I want on it. So then it's like, are you doing vinyl? Are you doing water-based ink? Are you doing plastisol ink? Are you doing direct to garment? Are you doing, you could do so many different ways. You can literally do screen printing on wax paper essentially
Direct to
and heat press
garment.
that on. Well, now instead of direct to garment, people are doing DTF, which is direct to film. So what I
Matter of
started doing
fact,
is
what did you do for us for the
Bro,
Littyyy
I don't
Bro?
even
I
you're
did
like
DTG for Littyyy
I don't even
Bros.
know what direct to
Yeah,
garment is. That
DTG.
better? I don't know if that's
Direct to
better.
garment is just it's like an $18,000 printer roughly. It prints ink, and the inks. I can tell you to replace my white ink alone is $480. So it's like it's not cheap. It it's hard to keep up with. You have to run it every day. It uses the white ink to clean hoses, so it wastes the ink on top of it. So if you don't use it properly and often, it's a money sucker.
But
So
does this
I
like
like to
have a
keep it
better
moving.
result than like cuz everybody I know like in real life that does mink or sorry, that does merchant anyway has the vinyl shit. So that's all I ever hear about or the screen presses. I don't know if that's a vinyl thing. But these
Mm-hmm.
are the words I hear. Ain't nobody using words like direct to fabric or whatever. I never heard that before. Like, is that better? Does that like last longer?
Okay, so a lot of times printing is relative to how you take care of it. So like if you don't know, don't use fabric softener. You know, fabric softener breaks down even screen print ink in the shirt. You know what I'm saying? So you have to know how to take care of it. That's what your printer should be
Yeah,
targeting, really. So
that's where you're. Mm-hmm.
what I do, and I personally do this, I would take the most expensive hoodie, throw one of your designs on it, right? And I'll wear it. I'll wash it 20, 30 times, and I'll beat it up on purpose just to make sure that I gave you a quality thing and that I'm selling you something that is on point. I do it all the time. I take people's stuff. I get a new formula. I take it. I print it for myself, and I beat it up, and I learn how to take care of it so that I can now pass the knowledge over and the value to everybody who I'm selling to, and that's important. And most printers do not care.
Bro,
They
The
I
most
never.
important
next
thing,
job, 50 shirts done.
the most important thing, folks, to remember with all these shirts and stuff like that is like, wash it, don't dry it. Like, just hang dry, air dry.
Bro, I
That'll
didn't even know
usually
that.
save your. That'll usually save your shirt, like, and make its life
So
last a lot longer, and it won't shrink on you as much. And
So on Instagram, if you guys were to, anybody out there watching that cares, if you wanted to look at Instagram Inked Mesh, that's INKED Mesh MESH. That is my now public apparel business. I was private up until this January,
Bro,
and
that's
now I'm
big.
working on the website. I'm so busy, I haven't finished the
mhm.
site yet. But we went public in January. It's just me and my partner Uncle, or Michael's his name. I call him Uncle because he's my former business partner's uncle, but I call him Uncle as well. So basically, on there is actually a carousel post I did with someone wearing Eternal, wearing a Rosebud hoodie I did for him that he always says he loves. I put him in there, and in that it basically says how to take care of a hoodie. In there is tips on how to take care of your apparel pieces, essentially. So you guys want to check that out?
No,
You're
I
more
do
than
want to
welcome
check that
to
out
give us a
because
follow while you're there.
I'm having this anxiety as I spend more money on clothes for the first time in my life, and I start doing the investment shit. And you're like, bro, do I wash this shit? Do I have to go to the fucking dry cleaners? Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Because like,
No, believe it or not, the dry cleaners will mess your clothes up
Yup.
too. So, because a lot of times they take it and wash it. They take it and wash it. Some things, some to steam clean, but essentially washing it gentle at home on your own and hang drying is always the best.
Yup.
And turn them in everything inside
Inside
out.
out.
Always
Yup.
don't use fabric softener. Do not use fabric
Yup.
softener. I stress
That's
that.
why, I
As much
mean,
as you
right.
want to use it, don't.
I
hmm
don't know that I do. I've never thought about using fabric softener. Maybe it was just something that was never in my life much. I don't know if we do. I mean, I
Yeah,
haven't thought about
wool
it.
light. Wool light is probably the best thing you can use on the clothes. Wool light.
Bro, this is so interesting. It feels like some of this is like some basic life skills I should just have. But you're right. Nobody be telling me about how to take care of the clothes they selling me. They just selling me the clothes.
They're just selling it to you. Oh, wear this, and as a
Oh.
someone who is in entertainment, you wear things sometimes one time and put it in the closet because you don't want to get another picture with it.
Facts.
So
Facts. For me, that's for
uh,
sure.
But yeah.
so you actually, I'm gonna spin back just a little bit. So I was bringing up the point about the merch to kind of get into that talk, but also to say, along with me getting back heavy into the merch, I also rekindled my flame with music because
Mm.
my depression took me so far out of it. I messed up in life, so here in that 10-year span, basically doing some wild stuff, and I realized because I was just so everywhere, I know nowhere to go in my mind. So once I came back to music again, I was like, oh my god, why did I ever stop rapping? Like I love this. Like this is something that I needed in my life. I would have been more focused, even.
hmm
So ever since I started rapping last in 2020, 2 years ago now almost, um, everything has been flowing the way it used to. Everything used to be kind of organic and flowing the way it should, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm in a whole new relationship. I got some stepkids now, along with my two daughters, of course. But things are flowing a lot better. And yeah, I'm actually gonna start heading to the studio probably this Friday to start working on a project officially.
Hey.
Um, I got like 15 written, half written, joints already in the clip. So I can't wait to start laying those down. My first session is going to be with Nunzio, and I'm going to do some more new style hip hop. Something that a lot of my older heads don't appreciate as much. But I'm gonna do some auto tune stuff with this other guy named Bash out in Jersey, who who's really, really proficient in that style. You know what I'm saying? So I think I got some surprises for everybody, and I could really write a song. I promise.
I believe you. But I saw on YouTube that Miss B was like, "You should rap if you wanna
I
give
should
us a
rap.
little
What you
rap."
mean?
Yeah, like she said, you
Like
ask him
right now?
like right
Oh
now.
man, like literally right now. Like
That's what she said on YouTube. I'm just translating a comment. I'm bringing it. You can go
let
check
me see.
that.
Let me think off the top. I'm gonna stumble on this, but I'm in my bag, bagging chickens at the Publix, telling paper or plastic. I tell them whatever, running so fly off the Eddie. I'm front, never stunning, way above the climbing up, man. Back on my
Uh,
bullshit. Rosebud apparel, stay laced. I'm on that new shit. When it comes to getting what I want, I'm a nuisance. Way above their neck, I'm at their neck like nooses. Call me Eddie. Eddie with scissor hands, cutting niggas off like bombs dropping on soccer vans. I'm major greedy. Please believe me, this my advance. Niggas wouldn't save him with Jesus driving the ambulance. Listen, this the real me, so pay attention. Zeus said, let them speak, they showing off their true intention. Clearly, I'm the man, that's what they say and mention. May the Lord say amen. It's the benediction. So I'm just I'm trying to give it all over the place.
may the
But
Lord
there it
say
is.
amen.
Oh, that's dope. Still, so I just appreciate you rolling with that. You went through it. You killed it. You did what you had to do.
No, I'm more of a.
Let's
I
be
never
one.
like going a cappella ever. So I think it's harder to go a cappella than actually hitting a beat.
A little bit, but you
But you
did
learn
it.
that from MC challenges.
Yo, I watched the MC
Mhm.
challenge on the Zoom the first time, and I was like, "Oh, that's why. That's a whole thing I don't do very well." And I've practiced since. I don't know if I do it well, but I definitely do it more than I used to.
Wait, freestyling or
All of it, even
acapella?
acapellas.
All of it.
Cause like you look at the acapellas and you're like, "Yo, say word. That's a round, right? Like that's a whole round, a written acapella."
Yeah, it
So
is.
you're like, okay.
And you have no beat there
So
supporting
actually,
you. You
like,
gotta like say something.
and then it's like, so it's like writing a song with no beat, and so it's like a different thing. And I mean, all of that stuff, I probably practiced the acapella versus less than all the other shit. But yo, especially when you're trying to like prep for a live show, I find it really helpful to be able to do the verse acapella. If you can do the verse acapella, you can lay it to any beat at that point. So, yeah, I don't know.
Agreed.
But yeah, the dub got me to that. Anyway, I appreciate you doing that, Stills. And you said that's where you're at. You're working on the project, and you're working on that with
Oh yeah,
Nunzio.
yeah. I'm definitely gonna do most of that
I'll
project
be
with
recording
Nunzio.
at Nunzio Studio.
Actually, me and Nunzio just did a song called "Money in the Bank," which I really like. It's like on the drill beat too, so it's pretty dope.
Mm.
We're actually gonna get somebody from overseas. He didn't tell me who. He said, but somebody from overseas will be on it. I think the producer is from London actually, or England in general. So that's dope
Usually they
too.
are. I'm saying usually they
There
are.
you go.
Some of the best drill producers are. I mean, they're the ones that originated the sound. That
Oh
sound that
yeah,
everybody
well they
thinks
didn't
is
call it
like
drill, they called it
Brooklyn.
grime.
Well, nah, they were doing after the grime. They like after Chicago drill popped
Okay.
off. Um, that drill sound was a UK drill sound, the same sound that Pop Smoke and Fabio Foreign and the Brooklyn drill artists that blew up the drill scene and sound in New York City. That sound that then the Bronx adopted as well. All that sound is like the UK drill sound. It comes from the UK, but
Yeah,
we adopted it.
and it's like an
Hmm.
I'm with
evolution
it.
to that grime stuff. I
Yeah.
mean,
Except we added samples to it. That's what we did because we're New Yorkers and we love some samples.
Yep.
So we were just like, yo, you know, it sound hard over this, a sample.
no, but that's cool.
A sample.
Man, you really all over with it though, man. So you make the clothes, you do the marketing, the advertising, you can like, do the photography and you make the music. That's like a pretty complete package of a guy who does a lot more than just is like an artist. Like, you really are a mogul. That's some mogul stuff. You know, being able to be like, you're basically a vertically integrated shop by yourself.
Vertically integrated shop. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good.
You should take that. You should use that.
So the only thing I didn't mention is I part time manage a friend of mine too. His music career is kind of buzzing. He has like 150,000 streams on his album that he dropped this December, so that we're proud of that. But he his name is D-Roy Music. If you want to check him out, by the way. Basically, he said to me maybe 5-6 years ago that I'm a hidden gem in the midst of everyone, and usually people they're so focused on themselves, usually especially artists. When I'm always trying to like, hey, I can help you, I can help you, I can do things for you, I can help you, they're kind of like whatever, you know. And he said it's because a lot of people, you do so many things, they don't understand how to utilize you in the proper way. And when he said that to me, it kind of, I was taken back from it, and I was able to kind of rethink how I approach people. So I stopped kind of forcing myself on people, things I can do, and more like organically just talk to them, you know, just say, hey, what's going on with you? And as they tell me about things, then I'll say, well, I could help you with that one thing. And then it may be one thing I'm mentioning, right? I help them with that, and then all of a sudden they come to me like, I did this with you, but you know, I need somebody to do this. Well, I do that too. You know, and then it becomes like a snowball effect. And then all of a sudden they realize like, oh wow, you can do all of this for me. And I said, exactly. So I stopped trying to force that on people, and it worked. And it worked in my favor.
So you stopped being a little.
I can see it. I can see it working.
Nah, because it sounds like you went from being a little thirsty with the skill set to like the chill, laid back guy to just be magnetic with it.
Yeah, and that's traditionally my natural personality. So just lay back.
That's super cool, man. I mean, you definitely are one of those hidden gems. I would agree. We constantly all be looking for people like you in our lives, and arguably you've been doing this for a long time too, which needs to be recognized as well.
Listen,
because we're talking decades.
It's now 22 years. 22 years since I started rapping the first time. And that's crazy. Like, I've been rapping longer than a lot of people have been alive. That's in hip hop today.
There's true artists right now that are like, damn, son, I was born 20 years ago.
That's facts.
You were rapping before.
Right, exactly.
You were rapping before I was born.
But yeah, I do think it's like
I've had an incredible journey. Met people you wouldn't believe. Hung out with. I was at one point I was trying to get signed to Electra Records. I was hanging out with Nocturnal, like Snoop's quote unquote cousin, and you know, things like that on tour buses even back then that I didn't even mention. You know, but it's just incredible. It's like so much stuff in my life that's happened that I feel truly blessed. And even to be, you know, at this moment full circle to, you know, pretty much back on the dub where I felt like everything took off, you know, re-explaining and reigniting everything again, you know.
I'm glad that we get to be a part of that. And honestly, it's a really riveting story. I mean, people who can go past 2 decades in anything, that's some rare shit in life, just ever.
Big fact.
And so, like, that makes you kind of legendary with it, you know? And the fact that you're just reinvigorated and willing to go further, it's like 20 more, 20, 30 more, who knows? We'll just keep running. And that's
just keep running.
I'll be honest with you. I learned my lesson. Actually, one of the songs I'm dropping is like on some Common Sense throwback vibe, where I'm talking about hip hop as if it's a female that I went through a breakup with, and I came back, and that's one of my songs I'm coming out with, and it fits because I realize now that I can never leave hip hop again. Like, I'm here. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Even if I'm be 90s trying to spit some bars, it's gonna happen. Like, I used to always say when I was younger, like, I don't want to be the old dude in the club. And now I'm like, I want to be the old dude in the club.
It's amazing what becoming
Shouts to being the old dude in the club.
Facts. It's amazing what getting older does to you on that topic.
Yeah, nah, I'm not chilling out. Fuck out of here.
But yeah.
Partying harder. I got more money now. You want me to stop partying when I get more money? Fuck out of here. I'm
That's
going
what
in
I'm
the
talking
club.
about.
I'm popping bottles.
Right. It's like I was looking at things like one thing I never had was like a nice chain or whatever, and I always wanted a chain, but I was always like, I gotta get this real chain. I got this real chain, and I didn't realize that it's so many like avenues. Like these rappers got these chains. I'm like, where are they getting all this money from? And now I realize, like, yo, these dudes are going overseas, copping chains for like a fraction of the price, and it'll be real diamonds, quote unquote. And they're custom pieces, and they're wearing them, and they're saying they paid $100,000 for something they paid like $4,000 for. It's craziness, but you know, now that I'm in the merch world and I'm seeing the inner workings of how merchandise is being prepared, like I used to see I do school rings too, so I was used to that formula, and I was like, wow, those silver rings are really cheap, not thinking like, oh, they can do chains too.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be my next thing. I'm gonna get into the jewelry thing and start getting a little partnership with somebody doing jewelry overseas, and I'm gonna start hooking these rappers up.
That's wild stills,
Oh,
man.
man.
Like I wasn't even expecting you to just
You're
pull
gonna
new
see
shit
a lot
out
of
the
icy
bag.
rappers.
Hustling.
Watch.
That's incredible. Like all of that is like that's why I was really excited for this, because like sometimes you wildly don't think about things until somebody explains some shit to you, or like even I know it's gonna sound wild, but the percentage blend of my t-shirts is not something I would have cared much to pay attention to, or what materials are used, and
Right.
I'm like,
Nah, yeah, that's super
it's a
important.
big
Right.
knowledge nugget right there, and it's just the
If
whole
you
way.
think about it, that's what gives you the feel.
Yeah,
the
no,
materials, the
that's
fabrics.
exactly what gives you the feel.
And then I mean I'm sure there's a
Mhm.
lot more to
It's
life.
like the first time I got told about Egyptian thread count and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff for sheets, I was like, what? Let's get some sheets.
Mhm.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And you think it's
Once I
whatever,
found like
and
some
then you get some
Egyptian
nice
cotton
high
or
thread
whatever
count
thread
sheets,
count.
and then you sleep in that shit, and now you're like, God damn, I don't want to sleep in regular sheets anymore
Why
ever again.
Facts.
have I not been doing this the whole
Mhm.
time? Yeah.
Yeah, that's some grown up shit though. It's kind of hard to convince myself as a younger person to have cared about most of this.
Yeah, nah, big fact. When you're young, you shouldn't be caring about that shit. You know
But
what I
now,
mean?
bro,
You
like
gotta care
I got
about
on
like
that
the
thread
next,
count game. That's one of those
you
ones
know.
where like because at a certain point you buy the cheap sheets. You're like, no, this ain't it. This ain't like the ones my mom got or
Yeah.
whatever. No.
I mean, but ho, come on. Yeah. You're over here talking like you're fucking fresh out of high school, spry teenager and shit. Like,
Nah, I'm
come
just
on, you're an
remember.
adult. That's why you're doing
Spry.
it. You know what I mean?
Nah, but I remember just
Like,
having
that's why
that
you're doing
Buy
moment,
it.
your own
right?
toilet paper now.
You definitely didn't do that shit at 19. You know why? Because at 19, you don't care about your fucking sheet thread count. You're caring about
Nah, my mom just
fucking,
procured shit for me at a certain point, so it was pretty simple. And
yeah,
then
that's what I'm
at a
saying.
certain point in my mid-20s, a lot more became, oh, my mom not doing that no more.
No, you're a grown ass
Yeah.
man.
Yo, the first time I had to buy some toilet paper and paper towels, that was it for me. I was like, yo, what the hell? Why'd that cost so much money? It's like I just wiped my ass with that. Then why did it cost $25?
I feel that still. Yeah, I appreciate you coming through, ill answers.
Word.
Like you definitely
No,
like.
I appreciate you having me for real.
I mean, this was a blessing. I learned a whole bunch. We got to hear your
Word, big fact.
perspectives on it. There's always one or two of those moments where I'm like, ooh, that'd be a hot ass clip right there. So like, there's some shit, in this interview where like you really like came through and did your thing and taught us a whole bunch about who you are. Like, I'm wildly impressed by you, ill answer. I mean, I know Flacco just knows all this shit about you, but I didn't know anything.
Yeah, he knows a lot about this.
You were just like there in the Zoom, being one of those faces that sometimes complimented us, which was always nice because you've definitely done that a bunch. But like the realms of all the stuff that you're involved in is just like, holy shit. Like, it's a lot, and you're so humble about it too. Like, it's not just like you could be a lot cockier and get away with it. Is all I'm trying to say.
Don't worry, he does that too.
I did that more with music.
But yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to thank you for coming through again, and I appreciate that. I don't know if you have anything you want to leave the people with.
I mean, just check out Rosebud. Once again, supporting Rosebud supports my daughter, you know, in the future and now. So, you know, check it out. Buy a shirt. Buy 10.
Yeah. So I appreciate you again, and I also just wanted to say thanks to End of the Week for holding it down, for being here. You can't see her, but thanks to Danny for, you know, doing her thing off cam and just, you know, being a
Program
huge part of that.
director,
Facts.
executive producer.
I know, so just thanks to End of the Week platform and everything they're doing and just having us around for the ride, which is always amazing. So you can go support them at eodub.com. It's the easiest place to find your preferred way to get in touch with them. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to go.
I didn't mention this either. But subscribe to EOW TV YouTube.
That, yeah.
EOW YouTube.
Subscribe to that. I just usually
that way you
YouTube
can talk with
EOW.
Shelly, because Shelly, you got the comment from Shelly to ask him to rhyme on YouTube. So people are watching on YouTube. Tune in on YouTube, and hit up the EOW
I see
TV
Kai
YouTube,
Face is there saying, great interview. Salute Flacco and Holden and my brother ill. So there is people on the YouTube. There may even be people on Facebook.
Ill S was throwing your whole name, your whole fucking
That's
government
right.
out there.
I
was
remember that.
Chill out, bro. My guy. Jesus Christ.
Yo, Kai Vase knows. I know him. I know Kai Vase for 20-something years, you know, so, you know.
Fair enough. You earned the right.
One of my longest
super
friends,
producer.
You know?
But yeah, man.
I never seen somebody take up production that quick and take to it that well, that fast.
Yo, everything he does it that way though. Factual. He's
I already know.
Shoot music videos for people.
I already know.
I seen that. He's incredible, yo. So, you know. Y'all got to get him on the show too.
Absolutely.
We're gonna
set that up for sure. And yeah,
absolutely.
I just also wanted to thank all the people watching live. Y'all are wonderful wherever you are. And thanks to all the people watching this in the future. Y'all are also wonderful wherever you are. And yeah, so yeah, it's been a great time with everybody. Appreciate everyone out there again one more time. Make sure again to follow Ill Answer on Instagram for him and Rosebud Clothing Co. for those on the audio stuffs. And yeah, live long and prosper, everybody.
Gang.